Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Englund, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as by donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. New Wave Neepawa blowing away. Inaugural Color Run event exceeds club's expectations by Casper Wehrhan. The crowd that turned out to the May 24th Color Run blew Rotary the New Wave Neepawa's expectations out of the water. The Neepawa banner and press spoke to Jenna Lowry, New Wave board member, who shared that a grand total of 240 people participated in the event held at Rotary Park that day. It was pretty amazing. We were blown away, said Lowry. We initially thought that getting 100 would be great, but blowing that away with 240, we were pleasantly surprised. When asked if New Wave Neepawa would consider holding similar events in the future, Lowry answered in the affirmative, stating, "I think our goal would be to do this annually, pending board availability and factors with all the other moving parts involved for the foreseeable future." As such, those who participated in the 2025 event can look forward to the opportunity to do so again in the future. Or if anyone wasn't able to participate this year, the potential to get in on the fun for the next go-round. The enjoyment of the event from those in attendance was evident, as plenty of smiles could be seen among the throng of people gathered at the starting line. Contributing to the fun of the event is its partial inspiration from the Hindu festival known as Holi, a celebration of colors, love, and spring. All who attended were encouraged to wear a white shirt of their choosing, and at the start of the run, walk, as well as at various checkpoints along their routes, were splashed with vibrantly colored powders, food-grade cornstarch. By the end of the runs and walks, each participant had their own unique, colorful shirt as a memento of the day's activities. Providing a fun final comment, Lowry extended her gratitude to all involved who helped make the inaugural event a success. All of the board, all of the volunteers, everyone involved, they all took a piece of this puzzle, got together and put on this wonderful community event and made it a success, said Lowry. Thanks is also extended to all who engaged in the event as participants for the runs and walks. There's a large picture featuring the New Wave board members and a younger participant of the color run. Off to the races in Minnedosa. Second annual Squirrel Chasers mountain bike race results by Casper Wehrhan. The Squirrel Hills Trail Park was the place to be in Minnedosa on May the 24th. That day, the trail park was home to the annual Squirrel Chasers cross-country mountain bike race, which welcomed just over 75 participants. This event was hosted in partnership with Prairie Mountain Cycling, the Minnedosa-based cycling club who organized the event, and Valley Life Recreation, the nonprofit organization which has been involved in the ongoing development of the Squirrel Hills Trail Park. We were really excited to come back to Manitoba's mountain bike community after last year's inaugural event at the Squirrel Hills. For 2025, Prairie Mountain Cycling wanted to build on the great vibes from last year's event, but this time we had many new additions in place at the trailhead, including washrooms installed just days before, to showcase the fastest racers in our province, said Timothy Frankota, president of Prairie Mountain Cycling. We were super happy with the turnout and grateful for how the trails dried up just in time for all the knobby tires that rolled over them after the week of rain that preceded the event. Richard Dupuis, Valley Life Recreation Board member, added, "It was a lovely day. The new Squirrel Hills Trail Park was in full display. Overall, it went very smoothly. It was great to see the Ole High Skills Park being so actively used for the whole day. It was a very festive and encouraging environment where people challenged themselves to the various courses and distances. Race results. Those participating in the races that day ranged in skill level and age categories. Participants as young as 8 to 65 plus years old gave it their all on the trails. The race results for individuals within the Neepawa banner and press coverage area are as follows. Youth female, Zana Frykota, Minnedosa, first. Youth male, Jordy Lowen, Neepawa, second. Alexandra Theroux, Minnedosa, fifth. Adult sport female, Misha Drykota, Minnedosa, first. Kids category, Harper and Finley Lamont, Brandon. Lane and Tristan Lowen, Neepawa. Full race results can be found online at zone4.ca by searching Squirrel Chaser XCMTB 2025. The trailhead nearly complete. Additional highlights from the day also included opening comments from Barb Fleury and Roger Smith of Les Métis Local, an honor song shared by Derek McKay and members of the 291 Rolling River Youth Drum Group. The Saputo Nature Playground, which was particularly popular with the families in attendance. Some youth used it as a comfortable spot to rest and gather together. Thanks is extended to all who helped to make this day a success. Dupuis also shared a quick update on the development of the new trailhead, stating, "The trailhead is 90% complete and we are having our grand opening for the Squirrel Hills Trail Park on July 12th. The Neepawa Banner and Press looks forward to sharing further news on the developments and hard work put into this recreational venue in the future." And several pictures showing the second annual Squirrel Chasers Cross Country Mountain Bike Race. Oops, sorry. A lot to be learned, right in the center, Ken Waddell. I think there's a lot that could be learned from rural businesses. Just thinking back to some columns I have written recently about bad phone answering systems at some businesses and an overdependence on computer records, I become grateful for local businesses that do customer service correctly. Most rural businesses treat their customers very well. That's in stark contrast to bigger corporate outfits who make phone-in customers have to press multiple buttons in a desperate search for service or answers. In our business and travels, we or our staff enter over 200 doors every week, delivering one or more of our 3 family-owned community newspapers. We are well met at every one of the places we go. When it comes to local business services, when we call an electrician or a plumber, they come promptly. Our vehicle servicing is done as soon as the overloaded garages can get us in the door. Our grocery stores, pharmacies, and furniture stores are always helpful. The common thread is local and community. Every town and village should cling to and support their local services. Rural Manitoba is strewn with communities that used to offer services but do so no more. Our roads are dotted with sad memories of how things used to be. Rural Canada in general and rural Manitoba in particular is on the verge of another great shift in services. I speak of Canada Post. Here's the background as I understand it. Every town and village used to have a post office. Instead, many now have community lock boxes, and I suspect many more will have them in the future. It's hard to pin blame for the demise of Canada Post, but there's plenty to go around. Many of our younger people will have no memory of when mail order shopping was a big deal, led by Eaton's, Sears, and many other companies that shipped goods to rural customers. Today, internet shopping has replaced the mail orders, but Canada Post still delivers a lot of those parcels. Unfortunately for Canada Post, the courier companies are beating them to the punch. Canada Post is all into a threatened strike again in less than 6 months. The problem is that neither the postal workers nor Canada Post are willing to face the reality that change has to come. Canada Post may lose $1 billion this year. That's $1,000 million. That isn't good, and it isn't sustainable without huge inputs of tax dollars. The union is fighting change as much as the PO itself. Here's a few examples. Why is door-to-door delivery 5 days a week still a thing? It makes no sense. Why are there rural routes? Most people can come to a post office or a lockbox once or twice a week. How about wage demands? I am willing to bet that if Canada Post held a job fair offering prospective mail carrier jobs at even the current rate, there would be many applicants. That may mean that postal workers are well paid already. Internally, CP and the union insist on some stupid rules. Post offices are supposed to bag up all incoming mail and ship it to a regional sorting center. That means mail coming into a local post office destined for a post office box in that same post office has to be delivered to a regional center, sorted and sent back to the post office it was delivered from, and then placed in the customer's post office box. That's a make-work project if there ever was one. Many people within and outside the system complain that Canada Post has way too many administrators, bureaucrats, and vice presidents. I think I agree. I am very concerned that the federal government will step in and prop up an outdated post office system with $1 billion or more every year, and nothing will change. If Canada Post really wants to change and survive, then the powers that be better get in a car and visit a bunch of local post offices to figure out how to survive. The local postmasters, postmistresses, and staff know what's needed, but I don't believe they have ever been asked. Based on past post office and federal government performance, I doubt that they ever will be asked. And on the next page, a picture of the Kelwood Community Mail Shelter being upgraded. The former Canada Post Office in Kelwood, pictured, is now a community-owned mail shelter. This past week, community members were busy doing some much-needed upgrades. The community hopes that local mail delivery will carry on for many years to come. Photo by Alana Lewandowski. Homebodies by Rita Friesen. And I'm Back, Part 2. From Belfast, we traveled by train to Dublin. I was told that if I liked Scotland and Northern England, I should be prepared to be wowed by the greens of Ireland. They are spectacular. I think that anyone coming from a prairie winter will find anything green is spectacular. It is interesting to see that the plants we so carefully nurture in our homes grow wild and free in other countries. I was most impressed by the fuchsia. Here we contain it. There it grows like a huge shrub or a small tree, glorious and bold. It was in Dublin that I realized how little I knew of the potato famine, caused by a dominating empire that cared more for economic gain than people's lives and livelihood. Still seeing this happen, sadly. The flight and plight of the average citizen in Ireland, and then a glimpse of humanity at its best. We toured a replica of the Jeannie Johnston, a tall-mast ship that made 16 transatlantic voyages with refugees. On the average ship, a cargo ship that after unloading the treasures from America, filled their holds with starving families. The death rate was around 35%. There was starvation, disease, despair, and fighting. The owner of the Jeannie Johnston was Irish, very unusual, for ship owners were British or American. He hired a Christian captain and employed a doctor. Other ships crammed 300 people on board. He limited it to 200 healthy individuals. Every day, every person was allowed on deck, airing their bedding, and not only emptying the chamber pots, but getting them washed in the ocean. The doctor checked every person every 48 hours, and anyone unwell was placed in isolation. The captain decreed that everyone wash, comb, and become as presentable as possible to attend services every Sunday. The captain also provided basic food for every person for the crossing. There was never, on any of the crossings, a death. Compassion, caring, and generosity saved countless lives. I'm not a zoo person. However, the Dublin Zoo is so worth the time. It was pointed out to me that a zoo there can be so different because the winter is not at all like ours. The enclosures are spacious and filled with growth that is natural to the animal. I believe I enjoyed watching my travel companions enjoy the zoo as much as I admired the creatures. No travelogue is complete without a food review. The potatoes were the best I have ever tasted. Fried, stewed, scalloped, it didn't matter. The serving staff, and we found them all welcoming and knowledgeable, explained that it was the local milk, cream, and butter that made the difference. Whatever it was, it worked. The lamb stew and fish and chips, something I don't usually order, were so good, as was a goat's cheese salad. All I can say, it's a very good thing that we were active. Time away is wonderful. Time at home is wonderful. I think I'm caught up with me and with my work. Looking Up, Part 2, by Neil Stroshank. As I write these words, the province of Manitoba has just declared a province-wide state of emergency in response to the wildfires burning across this province. Residents in the affected areas, especially around Flin Flon, are looking around, wondering how close the flames are to where they live. They are also looking up, hoping and praying for rains that will help to extinguish those fires and save homes, buildings, and businesses they spent their lives constructing and maintaining. They aren't the only ones looking for rain. The recent storm that left 2 inches of rain in my backyard didn't extend far enough east or north to do serious damage to the fires. All parts of Manitoba need several days of steady rain. The same is true for much of Saskatchewan and Alberta. Southern Alberta residents are also dealing with an outbreak of measles. At the time of writing, just over 600 cases had been confirmed, with Alberta health officials saying that, in their view, this is just the tip of the iceberg. More cases are expected, putting added pressure on already stressed health care workers as they try to control the spread of this highly contagious infectious disease. You and I will never go through life without facing serious challenges. Coping with them will require every ounce of physical, mental, and emotional energy we have. In some cases, we can reduce the threat of potential challenges by looking after ourselves and what we own. Measles, for example, can be easily controlled through regular immunization of children. A report I read last week stated that those areas hardest hit by the measles outbreak tend to have the lowest vaccination rates, but governments are in no hurry to make these vaccinations mandatory. The same cannot be said for wildfires. They happen, and in the forested areas of Western Canada, they happen a lot. Some are caused by lightning strikes or other natural phenomena. For those where human error or deliberate action can be proven, the responsible persons will be identified and punished appropriately. As part of this discussion, I must address the impact of climate change. The seeds of this problem date back to the onset of the Industrial Revolution 250 years ago. As the years passed and industrial production increased, so did the greenhouse gases that were discharged into the atmosphere. Today's efforts to reduce these emissions, while laudable and encouraging, will not eliminate climate change overnight. The solutions we need must be supported by the best scientific knowledge available, must recognize the necessity of fossil fuels in Canadian agriculture, and must be economically sustainable. Such solutions will take time and political will to discover, but they will be discovered. A good first step in coping with these challenges is to stop looking for someone to blame for them. Blaming others for our problems won't make them go away. We have to face them head on, solve them, learn the lessons they can teach us, and make appropriate changes in attitude and lifestyle that will keep them from happening again. As we do, it is helpful to remember that there is one person whose advice can always be trusted and who is always ready to help. To all of us, whatever our life's challenges may be, he says, "Call to me, and I will answer you, and tell you great and hidden things that you have not known." Jeremiah 33:3. If you are facing serious problems today, don't panic. Look up. God is here, ready and willing to help you. Ask and you will receive. Thumbs up, thumbs down. A thumbs up to Premier Rob Canoe and Ethics Commissioner Jeffrey Schnur for taking a stand when obvious violations of the Ethics Code have been committed. Alan McPhee. Thumbs down to the town of Neepawa for not looking after the bird sanctuary. Stacks of lumber and pallets that need to be cleaned up. Kelly Brownlee. Out of Helen's Kitchen, kale salad and oatmeal bars. Kale, a powerful superfood, has taken me some time to get used to. It is packed with vitamins A, C, and K, as well as calcium, so I have been making salads with it. This salad is colorful and a wonderful addition to any table. You will win using either of these dressings because they are both great. I often added shredded cheese or feta cheese and make this my complete meal. The leftovers will keep in the fridge for several days. So there's a recipe for kale salad with a dressing of apple cider and red wine vinegar, or dressing 2 with mayonnaise and Dijon mustard. And also an oatmeal seed bar using candied ginger. Unhelpful Thinking Styles, Your Listening Ear by Delcy Martin. Many of us have an internal dialogue happening in our heads, and it's not always that nice. We are filled with what are called cognitive distortions, also known as unhelpful thinking styles. These thinking patterns affect everything we do in life, from how we approach our relationships, to how we feel when we go out in public, to how we feel about ourselves. The really interesting thing about these thought patterns is that if we can identify them and categorize them, then we can know how to address them. We address these thought patterns by having a conversation with ourselves and actively challenging those unhelpful thoughts with ones that are more helpful. Challenging thoughts is easier said than done, but with practice it can make a huge difference in your life. The first type of cognitive distortion is called all or nothing thinking. This is where you think in black or white terms. You tend to view situations in the extreme. An example of this might be thinking, if I'm not perfect at this, then I've failed. Your way to challenge this thought is to ask yourself, is there a more balanced way of looking at this? Or is there a middle ground here? Maybe you say to yourself, I didn't do everything perfectly, but I succeeded at a lot of parts. Next is overgeneralization. For this unhelpful thought, you make large sweeping generalizations about situations or people based on a limited number of events or limited information. An example might be, I fail at everything. To challenge this thought, you have to look for the evidence by asking yourself, is this true all the time? And what are other times in my life that I have succeeded? Maybe a more helpful thought would be to say, I don't fail at everything. Here is some evidence of times I have succeeded in my life. Mental filter is when we only look at one side of the story. It's kind of like you were wearing sunglasses that filter out all the good in your current reality. An example would be telling yourself, well, that one thing went wrong today, so the whole day sucks. Did your entire day suck, or just this moment in time? Try asking yourself, am I overlooking the good? Instead, you can say, yes, a bad thing happened today, but I will not allow this whole day to be ruined because of this one thing. Fortune telling is a big one. This is where you look at a situation and say to yourself, I know this thing is going to happen. As an example, saying to yourself, I know that if I go to this party, I'm going to have a panic attack. Yes, we make guesses of what could happen based on past experiences, and those can be correct. But if you go into a situation believing that you know with 100% certainty what will happen, you are setting yourself up for that outcome and the emotions that go along with it. Try reminding yourself that you don't have a crystal ball, that you are not psychic, and that you cannot possibly know every outcome of the future. To go along with fortune telling is mind reading. Mind reading is where you say to yourself, I know that person thinks about me. This, I know they think I'm a bad mom, or I know that everyone thinks I'm a failure. The problem with mind reading is that we believe we can do it. We believe that we genuinely know what others are thinking, when in reality we are not. We cannot read minds. To challenge these thoughts, remind yourself that you can't read minds, even though you may like to. Challenging cognitive distortions through hard work and doesn't come all at once. Try picking one thinking pattern that you do and working on it, one at a time. The first step is recognizing them. The next is challenging them, and repeat, you've got this. Neepawa Rotary Club gets scoop on FCL by Ken Waddell. On May 28th, Neepawa Rotary Club welcomed a special guest. Jason Ryden, Federated Co-op Limited Business Advisor, gave a presentation on his work. In his business advisor capacity, Ryden services 14 local cooperatives, including Neepawa Gladstone Co-op. Originally from Souris, Ryden has been with the co-op movement for 24 years. Ryden explained the purpose and functioning of the FCL oil refinery at Regina, which he said was really the beginning of Federated Cooperative Limited. He explained that FCL services local co-ops and the local co-ops serve local customers. FCL had $11.9 billion in sales last year, $297 million in net sales, and paid out $252 million in patronage. FCL services 156 co-ops in Western Canada and 650 communities. Ryden emphasized that Federated Co-op Limited is very environmentally conscious and always looking ahead at new technology and caring for the environment, all the while processing 130,000 barrels of oil a day. And the photograph features Jason Ryden, Federated Co-op Limited Business Advisor. A public meeting set to discuss rec facility future in Neepawa by Owen Devereaux. The citizens of Neepawa and the surrounding RMs have the chance this week to weigh in on the future of local recreation. A meeting has been organized by the Neepawa and Area Rec Center Committee for Tuesday, June 10th at the Yellowhead Center. The gathering, which is set to begin at 7 p.m., will share details on the potential long-term master plan for the area. As well, it is expected to include the announcement of 4 different potential locations where a new regional recreation event center could be constructed. As the population of Neepawa and the surrounding area continues to grow, the current recreation center infrastructure appears to be near or past its expiry to meet local needs. A good example of that would be the Yellowhead Center. While the volunteer board of the Yellowhead has done everything it can to maintain and upgrade the building, only so much can be done for a facility that is over 50 years old. A new recreation facility could play a critical role in easing these pressures and providing new recreational opportunities for residents. New crosswalk safety features installed near Giant Tiger. A new crosswalk across one of Neepawa's busiest streets is lighting the way to safety. The town has completed the installation of a solar-powered pedestrian beacon at the intersection of Mountain Avenue and Bryden Street near Giant Tiger. The crossing is button activated on each side and will brightly flash for a 15-second interval. Pedestrians are asked to start using the beacon on a consistent basis to cross, and motorists are advised to allow right-of-way for those walking. Serving society has been in my soul. Plumas Inn team aids community via grocery services by Casper Warehan. A rural business stepped up earlier this year to fill a need in its community. The Plumas Inn, located in Plumas, implemented a temporary grocery program. This program was put in place following the loss of the Plumas Stop and Shop, which tragically burned down on March 2nd. The owner of the Plumas Inn noticed that this program will remain available to Plumas residents until the Plumas Shop and Stop is rebuilt. The Neepawa Banner and Press recently had the opportunity to speak to Plumas Inn owner Ravi Thakkar, who noted that he was away in India for a business trip when the beloved grocery store was lost. I came to know about it from Facebook, and I offered help from there. After I got back, I offered my place to the owner to start his shop so people don't need to travel for daily essentials. He appreciated me for that. Also, he didn't mind if I provided basic groceries to our neighbors, said Thakkar. After talking to the store owner, I interacted with some active and supportive people of the town. They were very happy to know about the initiative. Thacker has prior experience with the operations of a grocery store and shared that he was able to use his experience to swiftly lend aid to the community. I made sure that at least the essentials would be available for people of town within the days of the incident, said Thacker. Thacker also shared that his desire to help partially stems from his youth, being very socially involved since his teenage days. Serving society has been in my soul. I've just focused it in a professional and social manner, said Thacker. As an inn owner, I am used to buying groceries for my restaurant at a reasonable price, so why not forward this benefit to the community? In his final comments, Thacker wished to extend a word of gratitude to the people of Plumas. They have always been kind to us and the Plumas Inn team, who is like family and have always supported me. I appreciate their gesture, said Thacker. The Neepawa Banner and Press was unable to contact the ownership of the Plumas Stop and Shop for comments, but wishes them the best of luck in their endeavors. Pictured are members of the Plumas Inn team with some of the groceries that they keep in stock for the town. From left to right are Bina Thacker, Ravi Thacker, Stuti Thacker, and Maharita Herka. Student bands entertain. The Neepawa Area Collegiate Institute and Neepawa Middle School band groups hosted some performances recently. Pictured here are a couple of scenes from the concert. Pictured left, vocal soloist Sienna Salvador performing Crimea River, accompanied by the NACI Jazz Band at the NACI concert held on May 31st. Pictured at right, the grade 6 band group playing Frere Jacques during the NMS concert, which was held on May 28th. And next weekend, Friday, June 13th and 14th, there's lots of things going on in our area. The Little Valley Jamboree, Helping Children Changing Lives, will be held in Erickson Friday, June 13th from 6 p.m. to midnight, and Saturday, June 14th from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. There are 2025 participants are Brooks Travis, John Jacob Bernardo, and Odin Herbert. And on the next page, Filipino Heritage 2025 proudly presents Gino at Ginang Filipino Heritage, June 7th at the Yellowhead Center at 4 p.m. A flag raising ceremony June the 12th at 10 a.m. at Riverbend Park. Filipino Heritage Day June 14th and Saturday, June 15th, 1 p.m. parade starts at Riverbend Park with a 3 p.m. program at the Yellowhead Center. We invite everyone to take part in Filipino Heritage Month. Dan Mazier named Shadow Minister of Health by Owen Devereaux. Our local representative in Ottawa is headed into the next session of Parliament with a brand new role to play. Dan Mazier has been named the official opposition's Shadow Minister for Health. This portfolio is one of the most important, as it will be holding the Mark Carney-led minority government to account on the nation's healthcare system. While the provinces are in charge of managing the delivery of healthcare, the federal government still plays a key role by enforcing the Canada Health Act. It is also responsible for providing funding through health transfers, approving drugs, coordinating national strategies on mental health and addiction, and overseeing the Public Health Agency of Canada. Mazier's focus in his new role will be on federal policies and barriers that affect access to care, health workforce shortages, and addiction recovery efforts across the country. It is an honor to take on this significant responsibility, said Mazier, via a media release announcing his appointment. Canadians are waiting too long for care. Healthcare workers are burnt out, and families have lost faith in a system clogged by government gatekeepers. Conservatives are ready to help fix it. Mazier, who previously served as Shadow Minister for Rural Economic Development and Connectivity, acknowledged that while health is a new portfolio for him, the need for urgent action is clear. For 10 years, the Liberals have made excuses while access to doctors has got worse, Mazier said. Canada's healthcare system is broken because government gatekeepers block access to care. I will work tirelessly to ensure the voices of Canadians are heard and that we build a healthcare system that delivers care, not just bureaucracy. An abbreviated session of Parliament returned on May 26th and will stay in session until June 20th. A full seating of Parliament will begin in mid-September. New councillor growing her practice in Neepawa. Grace Rosine establishing her credentials at Grit and Growth Wellness by Owen Devereaux. In many careers and trades, the transition from education to practice can be a bit daunting, perhaps even more so in a profession such as mental health care, where everyone involved can feel a bit more vulnerable. But for Grace Rosine, her shift from a student to counselor in the practice of compassionate has been as seamless and rewarding as one could ever hope for. Earlier this spring, Rosine began a practicum at Grit and Growth Wellness in both its Erickson and Neepawa locations. Grace has been seeing clients under the supervision of Carly Brackenred, a Canadian certified counselor. These sessions provide psychotherapy services for individuals, couples, and families, with a focus on trauma-informed care. In layman's terms, in time of grief or crisis, these people are there to offer support and to provide a path in the process of healing. Grace's inspiration for pursuing this career is connected to her experience in rural areas. Rosine noted that she really saw the need for more mental health resources to be accessible in places outside of metros such as Winnipeg and Brandon. From an education standpoint, Rosine spent 4 years earning her undergraduate degrees from the University of Manitoba, with an additional 2.5 years working toward a master's degree. Part of that 2.5 years includes a 7-month practicum in the field, in this case at Grit and Growth Wellness. As for working with clients as part of Grit and Growth, Grace told the Banner and Press the experience has been remarkable. She said that comfort and trust are huge components of the bond between a client and counselor, and that she works to earn that bond in every session. The big thing is finding a counselor that gets your values and is able to tailor the approach to you, noted Rosine. I think one misconception that a lot of people may have is that counseling is only for people who have really big, heavy issues. Counseling is for anyone who wants to do better themselves or to become a better version of themselves. You can talk about whatever you want. It doesn't need to be about pain. It can be about progress. Grit and Growth Wellness has been operating in rural Manitoba with offices in Neepawa and Erickson since 2021. The Manitoba-based mental health practice offers client-centered counseling services for children, youth, and adults. It specializes in holistic, trauma-informed support that honors the unique stories and strengths of every individual. More information can be located online at www.gritandgrowth.center. NACI Tigers compete at Baseball Provincial Championship by Owen Devereaux. After a successful regular season, the Neepawa Tigers varsity baseball team had the chance to participate in the 2025 MHSAA Provincial Baseball Championship. Neepawa was one of 12 teams involved and was representing Zone 7. The Tigers were placed in Pool 3 and were matched up against the Garden City Gophers and Warren Wildcats. Game 1 was played on Thursday, May 29th, and saw Neepawa fall to Garden City 15-5. For the second game of the round robin, the Tigers bounced back with a 12-2 win over Warren on May 30th. Those results were good enough to secure a spot in the quarterfinals and a pairing against the Garden Valley Zodiacs, who went 2-0 in the round robin portion of the play, outscoring their opposition 23-1 in the process. This matchup against one of the city teams was a rough one for Neepawa, as they lost 20-1 and were eliminated from the event. As for the rest of the provincials, it would be ultimately Garden City who would claim the title, as they defeated Steinbach 13-1 in the final, played on Saturday, May 31st. Congratulations to Neepawa, Garden City, and all the other teams involved in this year's baseball provincials. Neepawa Cubs win their first game of the Santa Clara baseball season by Owen Devereaux. Garrett Rempel's first outing on the mound for the Neepawa Cubs this season was exactly what the team needed, as they bested the Austin A's 4-1. The pitching ace collected a complete game win on Friday, May the 30th, with an impressive 9 strikeouts, while surrendering just 5 hits. Other contributors for the Cubbies were Brad Wilson, who went 3 for 4 at the plate and stole a pair of bases. The victory was Neepawa's first of the Santa Clara Baseball League season and improved their score to 1-3-0. Next up for Neepawa was a back-to-back series against the Plumas Pirates. The first game was on Wednesday, June 4th in Neepawa. Game played just after the Banner and Press publication deadline. Game 2 is set to be played in Plumas on Friday, June 6th. Opening pitch is scheduled for 7 p.m. Minnedosa blanked in Portage. A pair of double plays as well as catching a Minnedosa player trying to steal home ensured a 9-0 win for the Portage Padres on Friday, May 30th. The Mavericks threatened Portage several times, but the Padres made the plays they needed to secure the win, their 5th of the year. Minnedosa, meanwhile, fell to 1-2-1 on the season. The Mavericks are back on the field at home this week for a pair against Austin. The Mavs weekend game will be on Friday, June 6th at 7 p.m. A tie in Plumas. Both the Carberry Royals and Plumas Pirates had remarkable nights at the plate as their Friday, May 30th game ended up tied 12-12. The Royals scored 7 of their runs in the top of the 5th inning, while Plumas replied with 6 of their own in the bottom half on the way to the tie. Justin Walker went 3 for 3 at bat for the Plumas, while Carberry's Corey Billiard was 3 for 4. This result dropped Plumas to 3-0-1, while Carberry registered its second tie in 4 games, 0-2-2. The Pirates are next matched up against Neepawa, while Carberry must deal with the league's top team, the Portage Padres, 5-0-0. The next home game for the Royals will be Friday night versus Portage and has a 7 p.m. start time. Gladstone Golf and Country Club in full swing by Josh Jackson. With warm weather here to stay and summer on the horizon, the Gladstone Golf and Country Club season is in full swing. Treasurer Rosie Banyard said club staff have done a lot behind the scenes to prepare the course for the season. The staff were busy during April with equipment maintenance as well as checking the sprinkler system to make sure everything was working properly. There were also trees to cut down and a lot of debris clearance that was needed on the course, she said. Water has already been a concern, and we have been looking at ways to improve the quality of the water used to irrigate the course. The club is expecting the course's greens to be in great condition this year. It will be exciting to see how fast they are compared to last year, as the superintendent has spent a lot of time researching the best practices for good greens care and maintenance, said the treasurer. The Gladstone Golf and Country Club features a 9-hole golf course with fairway yardage markers, large demanding greens, and challenging pin placements that will keep you engaged throughout the round. The course also features a driving range, practice green, and a spacious clubhouse outdoor patio. Banyard added that the course has undergone some changes since last year. The biggest change and upgrade this year on the course is that the 3 alternative tee-off is now open. We have 3 alternatives on holes 2, 3, and 9, so the course is now even more exciting to play, allowing a different round on the back 9. You can expect all the great tournaments that you know and love to return to the golf course this year, but Banyard noted they're adding some new stuff as well. We have included a new Glow Golf tournament in the spring as well as in the fall. We have also changed the dates for the juniors tournament to early June, and we've moved the ladies to the end of July and added a men's senior tournament in mid-August. A few other big changes for the Gladstone Golf and Country Club are they're going digital and are part of the Westman Golf Pass. We can offer half-price green fees to all the members of the other participating clubs, and our members can play all the other clubs included in the pass at half price. We are now using light speed for tee times, which means anyone looking to play can book ahead of time online. Spike is still running the clubhouse, and the meals he serves up are a huge reason to come out and play at Gladstone. We have obituaries this week for Andrew Andy Lenders, who passed away on May 25th, 2025 at the age of 90. Family and friends are welcome to leave their condolences on the memorial page. And it's obituary for Margaret Grace Mitchell, Those wishing to honor Margaret's memory may do so with a donation to Fighting Blindness Canada. Neepawa Rotary donates to Arts Forward. Neepawa Rotary President Murrow Newton presents a check to Yvonne Sisley, Arts Forward Administrator. The Neepawa Rotary Club recently donated $3,000 to Arts Forward to help cover costs of their recent renovations. Arts Forward converted one of their washrooms into a wheelchair-accessible room. They also replaced flooring in the entrance, boutique, and office, as well as the stage, hallway, and one of the rooms used for music lessons. Arts Forward is in the midst of a sponsorship campaign to help cover costs of programming and special events. I'm going back to page 5 to read a letter. Federal neglect of Western RMs must end. Rural communities are the backbone of Canada, yet they continue to be left behind by the federal Liberal government that seems increasingly out of touch with the needs of Western municipalities. Across rural Manitoba, communities are facing challenges that require urgent attention, but the government in Ottawa appears to be focused elsewhere. The story of rural municipalities such as Prairie View and Yellowhead, which face urgent water and wastewater infrastructure challenges, isn't uncommon. Across Manitoba and Western Canada, local municipalities struggle to keep up with the rising cost of infrastructure projects. Inflation has caused the cost of projects to double in many cases, passing on increased costs to ratepayers and putting several projects on hold indefinitely. Close to home, outdated wastewater systems is not only a barrier to development, but also a public health concern. Without federal funding, these municipalities lack the resources to make the necessary improvements. The result is a patchwork of underfunded projects and stalled progress, while Ottawa continues to prioritize urban areas and ideological projects over practical solutions for rural Canadians. Neepawa, a growing community, is struggling to meet its housing demands. Thanks to its booming agri-food sector and a growing immigrant population, Neepawa has become an economic success story. However, the town is now facing a housing crisis. Affordable homes are in short supply, leaving families and workers scrambling for accommodations. This is not just a local issue. It's a problem that could hinder economic growth and discourage new investments in the region. Neepawa's challenges require immediate funding to expand water and sewer systems that can support new housing developments. These basic infrastructure needs are prerequisites for the town's continued growth and prosperity. Where is the federal government when communities that want to grow need them most? On May 27th, the throne speech delivered by King Charles III made no mention of infrastructure. In fact, none of the words rural, Western, Manitoba, or infrastructure were mentioned in the speech a single time. On May 29th, the Liberal government tabled a $486 billion spending bill, again with little to no mention of Western communities or rural infrastructure. The federal Liberal government's inaction on these issues is unacceptable. Rural communities are not asking for special treatment. They are asking for their fair share of federal funding to address essential needs. Housing, water, and wastewater infrastructure are not luxuries. They are necessities that enable communities to thrive, attract new residents, and contribute to Canada's economy. It's time for the federal government to wake up to the needs of rural Canada. The challenges faced by our rural municipalities are emblematic of broader issues that require immediate attention. Investments in rural infrastructure are not optional. They are critical to ensuring that rural Canadians can continue to build strong, vibrant communities. Ottawa must prioritize these issues or risk further alienating the very people who keep our country fed, powered, and thriving. Rural Canada deserves better, and it's time for the government to deliver a letter by Levi Cottingham of Birtle, Manitoba. Page 15 shows gifts for Dad he's certain to enjoy. Father's Day celebrations began on June 19, 1910 in the state of Washington. However, it wasn't until 1972 that a day honoring fathers became a national holiday. Since then, children have been trying to figure out how they can show their dads and other father figures in their lives just how much they are appreciated. Plenty of hugs and high fives are customary on Father's Day, but gifts also get the spotlight on this holiday, which is held on the third Sunday in June each year. And looking back on page 3, 125 years ago, on June the 6th, 1900, wildflowers have commenced to bloom in profusion. The wild fruit crop has indicated it is going to be a prolific one. 100 years ago, on Friday, June the 5th, 1925, Mike Bosservitz was operated on Tuesday in Neepawa Hospital for a badly diseased left leg, the bone being affected. He will be in hospital for some time, but is expected to do well. In Arden, cows have been trespassing in River Park. Town authorities should see that cows and hens and other domestics are not allowed to trespass on other people's property. In 75 years ago, James Hall, 73, a prominent farmer and community leader for this district, passed away suddenly on May 25th. There's a long write-up about Mr. Hall. 50 years ago, Thursday, June the 6th, 1975, Neepawa Town Council refused to act on a request by the Neepawa Local of the Canadian Union of Public Employees for an automatic check-off of dues from salaries of town employees, which was received by letter from the local secretary and read at their regular meeting on Tuesday night. Margaret Lawrence received her honorary Doctor of Literature degree from Brandon University on May the 24th, 1975. The photo is featured on June the 5th, 1975 edition of the press. 20 years ago, on Monday, June the 6th, 2005, a man in Gladstone plans to present a 60-signature petition to council at its next meeting calling for changes to the town's budget. Also in 2005, construction of the chemotherapy unit at Neepawa Hospital is nearing completion, with a grand opening scheduled for the end of the month. Natural Prairie Beef has secured $2 million in investments, helping pave the way for construction of a beef slaughter plant in Neepawa. Kelly Penner of Douglas-based Natural Prairie Beef is joining forces with Saskatchewan-based Natural Valley Farms to start the Neepawa operation. That was in 2005. And that's everything for the Neepawa Banner and Press on June the 6th, 2025.